Hi, in this video we will discuss about location, size and neighboring countries of India of Chapter 1 India Relief Features from Class 10 Social Studies. Please do subscribe our channel by clicking the bell icon. Before we discuss the location of India, let us see the background behind the name India. The name India is derived from the great river the Sindhu or the river Indus, located in the northwest part of the country. People living along this river were recognized as Indoi by the Greeks in ancient times. Later, it began to be referred to as India by the Britishers. Another name, Bharat, originated after the great ruler of this land, Bharat, in the ancient times. And in this map one, we have lines in horizontal and vertical way. So the lines which are in horizontal way are called latitudes and the lines which are in vertical way are called longitudes. So here you can see at the middle we have 0 degrees line. It is called 0 degrees equator, which divides the earth into two equal halves. The half which is above the 0 degrees equator is called northern hemisphere and the half which is down to the 0 degrees equator is called southern hemisphere. So our country lies completely in the northern hemisphere. So all these lines of latitudes and lines of longitudes are imaginary lines which helps us to find the places or regions accurately. Look at this map too. Our country India lies between 8 degrees 4 minutes to 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitude and 68 degrees 7 minutes to 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude. So this is the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of our country. And if you see from north to south, it covers a distance about 3214 kilometers. And from west to east, it covers a distance of about 2933 kilometers. So the sun rises 2 hours earlier in the easternmost part of the Arunachal Pradesh state than Dwaraka in the Gujarat state in the west. The state where the sun rises first is Arunachal Pradesh is very appropriate. So there is a time difference between these two places is 2 hours. To avoid this time confusion while traveling from one place to another place, we took this 82 degrees 30 minutes as the standard meridian of India, which is also known as Indian Standard Time. So this 82 degrees 30 minutes east longitude passes near Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh state. So the exact time difference between standard meridian of India and Greenwich is 5.5 hours. Now the neighboring countries of India are Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Myanmar. And we have two island groups in our country. One is Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal and Lakshadweep Islands in the Arabian Sea. The nearest neighboring country across the ocean is Sri Lanka, which is separated by Gulf of Mannar and Palk Strait. Thank you. So the major relief divisions are categorized into six: the Himalayas, the Indo-Gangetic Plains, the Peninsular Plateau, the coastal plains, the desert, and the island groups of India. The Himalayas comprise of three parallel ranges with deep valleys and extensive plateaus. The first one is the Himadri, second one the Himachal, and the third one the Shivaliks. Now we will discuss about the formation of Himalayas. The Himalayas are the youngest folded mountains in the world. According to geologists, 200 million years ago, the entire Himalayan area as well as the Great Indo-Gangetic Plains were occupied by a great geosyncline called Tethys Sea. Here at the center you can see the Tethys Sea. So to the north of the Tethys Sea, the landmass was called Angara land, and to the south of it, it was called Gondwana land, which contained the present peninsular India. In course of time, these two land masses split up and began to move apart and also towards each other. In this process of movement of these two land masses, the weaker Tethys Sea region began to get compressed and buckled up. Over the next few million years, due to immense compressional force, the sediments deposited in the Tethys Sea were folded to acquire the present form of the Himalayas. So the Himalayas extend from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh. It covers a distance of 2,400 kilometers and the width varies from 500 kilometers in Jammu and Kashmir to 2000 kilometers in Arunachal Pradesh. Now let us discuss about the Himadri or the Greater Himalayas. Out of all the Himalayan ranges, this is the highest, loftiest and most continuous range found with an average elevation of 6100 meters. The Himadri range is formidable and snow bound throughout the year, and we can find a number of glaciers, and this is composed of crystalline and metamorphic rocks such as granites, etc. And most of the Indian perennial rivers have their origin at these glaciers. Now let us see the world's highest and prominent peaks. Mount Everest with an height of 8,848 meters. Other important peaks are Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Dhaulagiri, Manaslu, Nanga Parbat, Annapurna, Nanda Devi and Namcha Burwa. So these are the few world's highest and prominent peaks in the world. And the region which is to the south of the Greater Himalayas is called Lesser Himalayas, which has the most rugged relief, and these regions are mainly composed of highly compressed rocks. The height ranges from 3,700 to 4,500 meters. Some of the important ranges of this region are the Pir Panjal, which is also called as Panchaladeva, and Mahabharata. And these ranges consist of famous valleys of Kashmir and Kangra and Kulu in Himachal Pradesh. And this region is very famous for hill stations like Shimla in Himachal Pradesh, Mussoorie, Nainital, Ranikhet in Uttarakhand. And this region is very famous for fruit cultivation. And this region is mostly covered with evergreen and coniferous forests. The southernmost range of Himalayas is the Shivalik. It forms a continuous chain of hills extending from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh with a width of 10 to 50 kilometers and having an altitude varying between 900 to 1100 meters high. So these regions are called by different names in different regions. Jammu Hills in Jammu region, Mishmi Hills in Arunachal Pradesh, and Kachar in Assam, etc. So these parts of consists of thick gravel and alluvium. The valleys lying between the Lesser Himalayas and the Shivalik range are called as duns. Some examples are Dehradun in Uttarakhand, Kotli Dun in Jammu and Kashmir, and Patli Dun in Uttar Pradesh are the important duns. The easternmost boundary of the Himalayas is the Brahmaputra Valley. In Arunachal Pradesh, beyond the Dihang Valley, the Himalayas takes a bend to the south and act as the eastern boundary of India and run through the northeastern states. These divisions are called as Purvanchal, and it is having sedimentary and sandstones. Regionally, these Purvanchals are known as Patkai Hills in Myanmar and Naga Hills in Nagaland, Manipuri Hills in Manipur, and Khasi Hills in Meghalaya. The importance of Himalayas. The Himalayan mountains act like barriers protecting the Great Plains of India from the cold winds of Central Asia during winter. And these are the responsible for causing rainfall in the plains during the summer and ultimately to have a monsoon type of climate in the country. Without this, India would have been a tropical desert. And the rivers originating in the glaciers of these mountains resulted in the perennial flow of water. Perennial flow of water means the rivers which have the water throughout the year. This had a great significance on the economic development of the Great Plains. And the Himalayas are also known for beautiful valleys like Kashmir, Kulu, Kangra, and Kathmandu are some of the famous hill stations, and it acts like a tourism spot. These beautiful valleys and hill stations have been attracting people from all over the world and promoted tourism and even foreign exchange earnings. These valleys are also known for the cultivation of fruits. The alpine vegetation of these mountains is an important contribution to the forest economy, and there are some gaps in these mountain ranges providing a natural route across. They are called passes. So, through these passes, there was a great exchange of culture and commerce with the neighboring countries in the ancient times. So, this is the importance of Himalayas. The second major relief division of India is the Indo-Gangetic Plains. It is also known as the Great Plains. So these Great Plains are named after two major Himalayan rivers. One is the Indus and the second one is the Ganga, which drains the entire plains covering almost an area of 7 lakh square kilometers. You can see in this picture the Indo-Gangetic Plains lies between the Himalayan mountains and the peninsular plateau. So these plains constitute one of the largest aggradational surfaces in the world. Largest share of the northern plains of India is constituted by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra river system. So these two rivers join together in their lower reaches before meeting with the Bay of Bengal and responsible for forming the world largest and the most fertile delta. There is a little variation in geomorphic features. Four important surface differences are recognized with the geomorphology of the plains. They are Babar, Terai, Bangar, and Kadar. Rivers flowing from the Himalayas deposit gravel and sediments along the foothills of Shivaliks. This pebble-studded zone is known as Babar, and many small Himalayan rivers flow underground through Babar zone and re-emerge on the surface from the Babar belt and flood regularly, creating 15 to 30 kilometers wide marshy tract called Terai. This zone is found with excessive dampness with a thick growth of forest and a variety of wildlife. And further to the south, the plains are composed of alluvial deposits. The older alluvial of the floodplain is called Bangar, whereas the newer deposits of alluvial is called Kadar. The Indo-Gangetic Plain consists of three divisions: the western part, the central part, and the eastern part. The western part is mainly formed because of the river Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj. Most of this river basin is in Pakistan, and a very little portion we can find in Punjab and Haryana. So there is a feature called Doab in this region. Doab is nothing but the fertile land between the two rivers. And the second one, central part, is formed because of the river Ganga and its tributaries Yamuna, San, Gagara, Gandak, and Kosi. We can find this part in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Haryana, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. And the last one is eastern part. The Brahmaputra Valley of Assam is a low level plain which is a general width of 90 to 100 kilometers. It is surrounded by high mountains on all sides except on the west. Terrai and semi-terrai conditions exist mostly on the north part of the valley, resulting in the wet soil and a dense forest. In this picture, you can see the different plateaus of India. So the Malwa Plateau and the Deccan Plateau is separated by the river Narmada. The Malwa Plateau is bounded by the Aravallis on the northwest and by the Vindhyas on the south. The Aravalli Range is one of the oldest fold mountain system in the world, and this Deccan Plateau is bounded by Satpura Range on the north and Western Ghats on the west and Eastern Ghats on the east. Let's see the difference between Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats are also known as the Sahyadri Range, and this Western Ghats lies parallel to the west coast. The structure of these ghats is continuous with a few passes as the gateways to the coastal plains, and these Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. And here the Western Ghats extends for 1600 kilometers from north to south. So near the Gudalur, the Nilgiris join the Western Ghats and they rise to over a height of about 2000 meters. And the famous hill stations of this region are Udagamandalam, which is also known as Ooty, and another one Dodabita with an height of 2637 meters. These two are in Tamil Nadu. And the other hills in this region are Annamalai and Kadamam in Kerala, and the highest peak in this South India is Anaimudi with 2619 5 meters in the Annamalai of Kerala state. Now let us see the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats are small compared to the Western Ghats, and these Eastern Ghats extends from Mahanadi Valley in the north to Nilgiris in the south, and these are irregular line of hills which are not continuous, and the average altitude of these ghats rarely exceeds 900 meters. And here the rivers which originates in the Western Ghats like Godavari and Krishna cut across the plateau and join the Bay of Bengal. The highest peak in this Eastern Ghats is Aromakonda, found at Chintapalli with an height of 1680 meters, which is in Andhra Pradesh. And these Nallamalas, Velikondas, Palakondas and Sesachalas are some of the hilly regions in the Eastern Ghats. So one of the remarkable feature of this peninsular plateau is that black soils which are formed because of the volcanic activity. The next major relief division of India is the coastal plains. So the Deccan Plateau is flanked by the coastal plains with all along the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. The west coastal plain is narrow and uneven by hilly terrain. It stretches from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. From the south of Karwar to Kanyakumari, the coastal lowland widens out, and in Kerala the coastal land is faced by great extensions of long bars and lagoons. In Kerala, the lagoons and backwater form the excellent waterways. On the north, the Konkan coast is of 50 to 80 kilometers wide and is generally flat. To the north of Konkan coast, the coastal land widens into the alluvial plains of the Tapti and Narmada, and further north to Gujarat plains formed by the Sabarmati, the Mahi, and several other rivers. So this plain is uneven and broken by hilly terrain. It can be divided into three parts. The Konkan coast. This is in the northern part. It touches Maharashtra and Goa. And the second one is Canara coast. This is the middle part. It includes coastal plains of Karnataka. And the last one is Malabar coast. This is the southernmost part, mostly in the state of Kerala. In contrast to the plains of west coast, the east coastal plains are wider and flat. They consist of most fertile and well-watered deltas of the major rivers. The Mahanadi Delta in Orissa, the Krishna and Godavari deltas in Andhra Pradesh, and the Kaveri Delta in Tamil Nadu are very fertile and alluvial grounds for the development of agriculture. And this plains extends up to about 100 kilometers width along the Krishna Delta, and it is 130 kilometers inland along the Kaveri. These coastal plains are known by different names locally. Utkal coast in Odisha, Sarkar coast in Andhra Pradesh, and Coromandel coast in Tamil Nadu. And in these Indo-Gangetic plains, these deltas too are agriculturally developed. And the important lakes in this region are Chilika in Odisha and Kolleru and Pulicat in Andhra Pradesh are other important features of these coastal plains. And the next one is the Thar Desert. To the northwest of the Aravallis, it lies the Thar Desert. It is the largest desert of the Indian subcontinent and also known as the Great Indian Desert. It covers an area of 2 lakh square kilometers. It occupies much in Rajasthan and a very little part in Haryana. And this Thar Desert consists of an undulating surface with high and low sand dunes, separated by sandy plains and low barren hill. Some of the sand dunes reaching a height of 150 meters, and here the rainfall ranges from 10 to 50 centimeters. So with this, the vegetation is very less. We can find some stunted scrub type of vegetation here. Here the minerals are available but that are unexploited. But in recent dates, the natural gas, gypsum, limestone and salt are now being exploited. So the settlements in this region are mostly found near Jodhpur, Bikaner and Jaisalmer. Luni is the only river that flows in this Thar Desert region. Now let's see the island groups of India. There are two island groups in India. One is Andaman and Nicobar Islands in Bay of Bengal and Lakshadweep Islands in the Arabian Sea. Andaman and Nicobar Islands is an elevated portion which is submerged mountain parts running from Myanmar mountain in Arkan Yoma. In Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the Narcondam and Barren Islands are of volcanic origin. And here, the southernmost tip of India is found in this Nicobar Islands, but it is submerged during 2004 tsunami. And the next one is Lakshadweep Islands, and these Lakshadweep Islands are of coral origin. It has a total geographical area of 32 square kilometers, and these islands are very famous for great variety of flora and fauna. Now let's see how these coral reefs are formed. When the aquatic animals die in water, their bodies were lying on the surface of water, and due to the wear of water, these bodies go to the corner of the ocean or sea, and they become very bad due to the action of air and sand, and they become a coral reef. So in this way the coral reefs are formed. Hope you understood. If you have any doubts, please mention in the comment section. Thank you. Please do subscribe our channel.